Dun, dun, da-da-da-da-da. Hi, friends. Nice to see you. My name is Dean, and we're back to start your week, everybody. Lucky you, lucky us. Look at us starting the week with you. You're starting with us. Lachlan Cross joins us as well from Parts Unknown. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter is where you can find him as always. Lachlan is a fixture here. Really happy you're a fixture here too. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you in a while, but nice that you're here. Nice that you're back. You've got lots of stuff going on. Where are you?
I'm in
BC?
Squamish.
Yeah. What's in Squamish? Squamish, BC, by the way, just above Vancouver. It's on the way to Whistler. It's this little whistle stop between Vancouver and Whistler. You get over the Lionsgate Bridge. Squamish is a beautiful area. It's like your entryway into BC's northern country. So you're in Squamish, and obviously not for great reasons, right?
Yes, and actually, I'll give people a better idea of where I am if you look out the window of the front of the house that I'm in. It's on top of a cliff, and I can see Lions Bay to the left of me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do the north-south thing here because I'm a little turned around.
Oh, this is
so south of me, I think.
Okay.
Is the Chief, and the Chief is a famous rock climbing, fixture here in BC. So anybody who knows anything about rock climbing will know about the Chief, and you'll see it on your right-hand side when you're heading north into Whistler, just before you get to Squamish. So it's beautiful country. The reason why we're in Squamish is because my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, she has a home that's quite a bit bigger than anything my mom owns in Vancouver. My mom's got like this tiny little bachelor apartment. So when we come to Vancouver, we quite often take up residence here, and then we, ferry ourselves back and forth. We're here because my mom's partner, Carl, they were together for 20 plus years. He passed away in February. And so we're having a bit of a ceremony for him. He was an interesting duck. I was telling you about him before we started the podcast, and he was into he was a big reader and liked his drink as well, but he was into those medieval role-playing things. There's a name for him.
Like Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of stuff?
No. Like physically actually going out.
Oh, no, he was into like medieval reenactments. He was into LARPing. Yeah, live action role playing, middle of like the Middle Ages, where you like it's one of my favorite things to watch. If you haven't seen, what was that movie with McLovin in it? Paul Rudd was in it. Role
models.
One of my all-time favorite movies, by the way. It's absolute fucking sleeper of a funny movie.
It is really good.
That's what McLovin did. He was a medieval LARPer. That's what they did. So he was into that. So he would go to the park and he'd take a sword and he'd pretend to be a knight, or get a broom, and he was like, "Oh, this is my trusted steed."
He was really into it, and would over the years would attend these festivals.
Yeah.
In BC, like he would go, and they would have different roles, but they would spend like a week or a weekend or 4 or 5 days or whatever. And my mom would tag along. And she is not this person, but she was, I guess, placating him, humoring him,
supporting him, right? Like she was. You and I both have, I've got odd hobbies, if you will, right? Everybody's got an odd hobby. I don't actually have any odd hobbies like golf. I mean, is that?
It's not odd.
I'm trying to be understanding is what I am. But listen, your mom.
I'm a stamp collector.
Your mom supported Carl,
yes,
in his adventures to have a hobby, no matter how weird it was. I think it's beautiful, sir.
Yeah,
I think it's lovely.
Okay, I'll tell you how deep he was. Okay?
Yeah.
He made his own clothes. So he has like outfits that he made out of wool.
Robes. Yeah.
Yes. My mom was going through his stuff. They haven't LARPed in quite a few years. COVID threw a wrench into LARPing, so they hadn't gone out for a long time. And
That's an often overlooked community that got attacked during COVID. Is the medieval LARPing community, right? It's poor kids couldn't go to school, poor parents couldn't do bowling night. Their favorite pubs got canceled, but the often overlooked group that wasn't allowed to gather in a park where it was apparently perfectly safe to gather, right? Medieval LARPers. I feel sorry for them. I'm glad you brought them up today. I really am.
So anyway, she's going through his stuff, and there was he was a collector, and he would get on a kick, and he would order a bunch of stuff online. Anyway, my mom calls me, and we're on the phone, and she goes, "You're not going to believe what I found." I'm like, "What?" In Carl's stuff, because he had his own. They've lived in this one apartment forever, for as long as they've known each other. My mom moved here, and shortly after she moved here, she met Carl, and they moved in together, and they were living together in this really tiny little apartment. But they both had their own storage units in the basement of this old building in Vancouver, just off of Denman. Beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. My mom loves it. She'll go onto the seawall every morning for a bike ride. She's she's got her coffee place. She's got her favorite noodle shop. She's got her place. She buys her vegetables at a stand. All this stuff,
little bodega. She's old school. She goes to a little bodega, like one of those little spots. See, that's a great.
We drove by it yesterday. It's on Thurlow. She's like, that's where I buy my vegetables. It's like half the cost of Safeway. Right. Anyway, love her. Anyway, so she's calling. She goes, "I found a sword." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "It's a real sword." I'm like, "What are you going to do with it?" She goes, "I don't know." So he had at some point, and I think he was hiding some stuff from her, because I'm not, as much as my mom was supportive, I'm not sure how she would have reacted to a $3,000 medieval sword in a sheath.
Unless, of course, he was going out to do battle, and then it's a necessity, right? Yeah. But the Crusades have been over for some time, so good point.
Okay, we'll wrap up the Carl section here.
Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining the discussion, because I miss Carl. He was a good guy. Like I said,
it's a nice conversation, dude. You're talking about your stepdad, right? He's some guy that was real nice to your mom. Well, you can call.
He was really good to my mom. He was
exactly.
They were very simpatico in how that they coexisted in this.
They allowed each other the space to follow their own interests and support those interests, even though they didn't maybe share the same interests, which is a really beautiful fucking story, dude. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And trust me, we made fun of my mom for having to sleep in a horse skin tent for 4 days and cook her food
in a medieval yurt.
I think she actually secretly enjoyed it.
Probably.
Okay. So anyway, my mom and Carl, this was years ago. They were walking in, what is it? Where does she live? The park. It's going to drive me crazy. Stanley Park, son of a bitch. Thank you. And they walked by this little lagoon. If you've been in there, there's a couple of, smaller lakes, and it's beautiful, right? Mm. And there's this ship that's in there, and it's not huge, but it's sort of I don't know exactly what it is, but she's explained it to me. I've probably seen it because I've walked around Stanley Park with her a couple of times. But anyway, it's a boat, and it's in the water. It doesn't move. It's just sort of there. It's sort of a decorative piece. So Carl said, if I ever die before you, what I want you to do is you need to cremate me, put my ashes in that boat, let it loose in the lagoon, and start it on fire. So this is his final wishes. He has nothing else. He didn't leave a will.
That's so fucking awesome. He wants to go out like a Viking. So he was not for 2024, dude. That guy is from 400 years ago, right? That is awesome. He's like, you know what? Set it on fire. Put my ashes in there. Thank God you're not spreading ashes. I've done that before with a relative, and it's not just ashes. You get chunks of Carl too. So good for him. That's smart. Save everybody the hassle.
So my mom's like, all right, we can't steal a boat from Stanley Park. and set it on fire. So she got into the whiskey a couple of months back.
Yeah.
And she ordered this thing online, and I wish I had a picture of it. But it's a replica boat, like a Viking boat, and it's probably about this big, and the whole thing is set up. I swear to God, I don't know how the hell she found it. Plus, she was half a bottle of Crown in too when she found it. God love my mom. So,
That's awesome.
so she found this thing and forgot that she ordered it because she was so drunk. And it's like $2,500 or something like this. And I saw it when I was at her house yesterday when we came into town. The funeral's on Wednesday. And she doesn't regret the purchase because it's what he wanted to do. But it's actually for this. There's a thing for ashes in it.
That's awesome. So there's a little container. It's like a little mini floating sarcophagus so you can light on fire as if it were a Viking burial at sea. Yeah. I get that. I think that's fucking brilliant. Although I will say this, Carl's dead. So it's not like Carl would know if he got that done, and she could have pocketed an extra $2,500. That's how my mind works because I'm diseased. I'm one of those
My mom's
guys.
not that way, though. But anyway, so I'm not exactly sure if we're going to light this bad boy on fire in the lagoon in Vancouver in Stanley Park on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be talking about this publicly on a national podcast. But I did say that if you get a bow and arrow, I might be your guy.
If you might have to stoke that fire. You might have to put some kindling under Carl before you put him out to sea. But really nice. Like, I fucking love that story. And obviously my heart goes out to you and your family and your mom, especially today. I think that is it's such a nice way for you to remember this gentleman and your mom's relationship in a way that has nothing to do with you, which is lovely. And it's all about your mom and what she wants and what Carl wanted. And it sounds like they had a fucking great life. So good for you for being out there and doing that. That's incredible.
Yeah. You know what? The older I get, the more value I think I'm placing on family and shit like this. Like I've mentioned this before. Yeah. I've been a very selfish human being most of my life. So I was hardwired to find ways to get out of shit like this. Like, you know what I mean? I would go out of my way. Now I'm hardwired for whatever reason to find ways to make sure I'm involved in stuff like this.
Yeah, good for you.
So yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Oh, he was a big fan of fish and chips, so we're all going. There's going to be like 20 of us. He's got a couple of brothers coming down. I'm looking forward. It'll be a good day. It'll be a good day to remember Carl. Right?
Good. Yeah. And the older we get, the more we realize how transactional we are too, right? Like, that's the other thing. And then you realize that relationships are kind of the end result. It's not what you get out of them, which is the exact opposite of the biggest story in the world right now, Donald Trump. Obviously 34 felony charges, and we're dealing with the fallout, including what could quite possibly be some of the greatest, if I'm not mistaken, memes that I've seen in a long time. MAGA's been melting down. It's been an absolute fucking pleasure to watch. And
I saw this one this morning. I should have sent it to you.
When your husband gets indicted for cheating on you, she's dying laughing. There's Melania. Yeah, you got to wonder, right? Like, there's stories of Melania Trump not being in and around anywhere near Donald Trump. Some of the things that came out of this weekend. Yeah, I know his whole family's like abandoned him. Some of the stories that came out of this weekend.
Just loser kids.
His conditions are fucking hilarious. He's not allowed to vote, not allowed to own a firearm. He's not even allowed to cross state lines without approval because he's a convicted felon.
Are you okay? Are you serious?
Dude, and it gets better.
He has to get approval to travel.
Yeah. Not only does he just across state lines, he's not allowed to leave the country. As a convicted felon, that fucking guy isn't even allowed in Canada. Right? Even if he's the president of the United States. Canada,
that is the worst thing I've heard today.
Around the world.
It's not going to be able to come.
Is like, wait a second. So Donald Trump is a convicted felon? They're like, yep. There's a great fucking article I read this morning in Slate, how the president of Estonia is like, well, that's a shame. He can't come into our country. And then some guys with the liberal government are like, oh, that means we can't allow him in the country. He's a convicted felon. But those conditions are going to be so stringent, and his appeal is going to take 2 to 3 years when it comes to this and these 34 felonies. And he's got This was the weakest of the 4 trials that he had coming up this calendar year. He's got 3 other, including ones that rely on this trial, like trials that rely on this trial where he was found guilty of election interference and election fraud, which lean into 3 other trials about election interference and election fraud, proving that indeed he is premeditated in these capacities. So he's starting to shit his fucking pants. But some of the memes that I've seen, like this one, I don't know if you've seen this, him and cornrows.
I did see that one.
And he's been fucking losing it over the past couple of days. And he's looking anywhere for support, including Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Dragon's Den, saying yesterday, quote, Kevin O'Leary thinks this is bad for the American brand. He's like, you gotta let it go. But dude, he is.
I thought it would be worse. I got to admit, I thought there would be more
of an upcry,
pushback. Yes, I'm
for
glad.
Him, you mean? Like you thought the people would kind of riot? Yes. You'd see some shootings, lighting shit on fire, that kind of stuff.
I actually did. You know what though? The one thing that does concern me is that, I mean, from the polls, it just all this has shown is that his support is growing, right? Like so it might backfire. Because at the end of the day, whether he's guilty, I think everybody on the planet knows he's guilty. Mm-hmm. The thing that bothers me about every time you'd think that, okay, he's now a convicted felon. Mm-hmm. Maybe people will start to see his true colors. And it just doesn't happen like that down there. Mm-mm. It's not massive upticks in the polls, and not that they mean anything. We're still quite some time away from the actual election, but it is a little disconcerting to hear the news and go, oh, this is actually helping him in the polls a bit, and he's raised this amount of money. It's like, what?
Yeah, 60 million.
Everything they try to do to bring this guy down, all it does is seem to stoke the fires of his supporters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm. You know what? It's funny because you and I talked about it in the last podcast. I got some poll numbers here. I'm going to share them with you. He didn't get a bounce in the poll. Anybody that says he did is lying, and I'll show you some poll numbers.
Well, even CNN, I heard that there was an uptick.
Yeah, there hasn't been though. Like if you look at real pollsters like Ipsos down in the States, and you can kind of drag these things out, you can see that Donald Trump still has not received a bounce. Like, I mean, you got a bunch of money, but that's a lie too. I mean, I don't believe a fucking word.
You don't believe that?
And Trump land was like, hey, listen, we made like 60 million this weekend. He's going to win. We're going to cream you. We're going to crush you. It's all over. And like, I think everything that comes out of anything to do with Trump is a fucking
Maybe
lie.
You're right.
To that point,
it's just a controlled narrative.
Yeah, to that point, here you go. Depending on who does it, YouGov, The Economist, Morning Consult, they've got Trump up a little bit +2. But dude, Emerson College has, this is The Hill, Nexstar, WPIX. These are different polling companies. They've got fucking Biden up by 10 here. They got Biden up by 7 here. And not done there. These are just like exit polls from today. And today, 538 has Biden leading across the board. So, it's not like he's seen a big dip. Here you go. This is Biden leading across the board. Biden leading or tied by 1 or 2 points. Pretty much in every major poll, Reuters, the ones that you can actually trust, Ipsos, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short.
Are you looking at that?
Yeah.
Those are really close.
Yeah, they are really close.
So I think
maybe that's still a
sentiment,
concern, right? Like, and
maybe the sentiment is,
you find out the dude who's running for president, who's your guy, got convicted of 34 fucking felonies. He's got 3 more fucking trials that are coming up that are about seditionist, treasonist activities that rely on this trial where he was found guilty 34 times. You're feeling pretty fucking good. And the problem is at independents, big swing yesterday. 49% of independents polled said that, yeah, we can't have a felon in the fucking White House. We won't be voting for Donald Trump. And those independents were his key to any kind of victory in every swing state. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. But to your point, yeah, it is still absolutely fucking ridiculous that anybody after that trial was like, yeah, that's still our guy. Yeah. And it is close. You're right.
Yeah. I guess maybe that's what that's the sentiment that I'm hearing / feeling when I'm listening to the news, like that they're looking at this and they're going, all right, he just ends up running, like he just ends up losing this case. And it's all every news outlet was reporting on for 3-4 weeks, like a month solid. It was Trump TV. He dominated everything down there. And then he gets convicted and you're like, okay, this could be the beginning of the end, but no, it's not. And I think that's part of the storyline here, is that this guy just keeps plugging along. Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the one.
I wonder how much impact this has on Robert F. Kennedy's chances of winning.
Whatever. I mean, guys, fucking crazy too. They're all crazy. You know what it is? Is it? I had a conversation with someone the other day about
fascinated by interviews with him.
Yeah, I am too, because he's a fucking crackpot, and his whole family was like, "Yeah, we're voting for Biden. He's crazy." And he's like, "I'm not that crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're pretty fucking crazy, dude."
You gotta listen to a couple of his most
I've
recent ones.
listened to RFK
have you?
Talk. Yeah. Like 1 second he's talking about how vaccines are murder. The next second he says, "I never said that," and then they'll play the tape for him saying, "Hey, vaccines are murder," and he's like, "Well, you didn't understand what I was trying to say." But I kind of hope he's the next president, because listening to him is like having a fucking seizure. Legitimately.
It's hard to, his voice is shocking.
Yeah. But he's been a conspiracy theorist his whole life. Like, and not only has he been a conspiracy theorist his whole life, he's of that same kind of conservative back brain of like dudes that blew their brains out with privilege and drugs. Like, if you remember correctly, Robert F. Kennedy
was he a gong show when he was a kid?
Dude, yeah, he was a heroin addict. He was a meth head. He was all those things. Yeah.
He went AA. He's been sober for a lot of years.
Yeah, he has, but that's because he was a fucking meth head, alcoholic, drug addict, and so it fried his brain, just like everybody else that doesn't believe in science. It fried his brain, right? So anyway, long story short, that's why he's insane, and that's why he can't talk. Is because he mainline drugs.
He would tell you that he's never said he doesn't believe in science. He's just skeptical and likes to do his own research. Yeah. I'm always shocked when I listen to him. I'm always like, oh man, am I starting to agree with Robert?
Well, I got a question to ask you, right? Because you and I laugh a little bit about Alex Jones, but he has been correct about a couple of things. And listen, categorically,
he was right about the frogs.
No, he wasn't right about the frogs. You keep bringing that up. The water isn't turning the frogs gay. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
And Alex Jones,
a bunch of gay frogs out there.
No, there's no gay frogs.
Nailed it.
No, he didn't. But he's been right about a couple of things. The one thing, obviously, he wasn't right about Sandy Hook. And he was found in what do you call that? Well, you got a fucking judgment for defamation against the Sandy Hook parents for $1.5
billion or something like that.
Yeah,
how does that not like kill that? Is he still fighting it? To some extent, when you lose that kind of money, you just got to go away, right?
Yeah. To some extent, the interesting part of the judgment is that he has been allowed to pay the family $85 million over 10 years. So the judge is like, okay, I understand 1.5 billion's a little stringent. And we understand that you have millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars stashed away and you've declared bankruptcy. Pay these people $85 million over 10 years right now. And he's like, I'll pay $55 million over 10 years. And they're like, that's not good enough. Sell all your shit. You shouldn't
be allowed to barter.
So no, you shouldn't. So the authorities from the state of Connecticut have been chasing Alex Jones around because the judgment came from Connecticut, because Sandy Hook is in Connecticut. That is where the trial was. And so the state is trying to enforce his judgment. Now, Alex has hidden all his money all over the place, but he's left some items on the table for them, including his ranch, which he had to sell yesterday, or I think it was last week, if I'm not mistaken. It was May 25th. Authorities from Connecticut descended on his ranch in like Ohio or something. I can't remember where his ranch was, and said, yeah, you're selling this, so give it to us now. So they locked him out. They've locked him out of a couple of his other houses as well. They've taken some bank accounts away from him. But over the past week, he's been sleeping in his InfoWars studio. And he's just sleeping there because he's got no place to live, right? And authorities from Connecticut have been trying to get into the InfoWars studio, and he's been basically holed up there like Manuel Noriega, if you remember who Manuel Noriega was back in the day. Where he was a general for Nicaragua, and the Americans wanted him, and he holed up in a church for a long period of time. That's exactly what Alex Jones is doing. And yesterday on InfoWars, he snapped, which is really exciting. If you have,
I think
Alex Jones
he's already sort of dancing on that line already, I think.
But I want you to watch this because holy fuck did I laugh watching
that
Alex
and sweaty
Jones.
Alex Jones video. Awesome.
Yeah. Another sweaty Alex Jones video. But these are the kinds of issues. Like, it is legitimately Schadenfreude season. Like, with Donald Trump getting arrested, consequences coming to these people that have really evaded consequence for a long time over their lies, gaslighting, stochastic terrorists. Like, this guy was one of the chief organizers of J6. So if you don't think they're after him for political reasons as well, you're crazy. And I fucking like it. But I want you to watch Alex Jones, who's so tired of fighting, talk about how they're coming to get all his shit.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead. Who's the next person?
What? Hold on. Keep playing. What did he say?
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. Yeah, these people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead. Who's the next person?
What the hell did he say at the end there?
Who knows?
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people.
Look at the two dudes on his show. I have no idea who they are. Guaranteed one of them, the guy on the left, is a virgin. I want you to watch very carefully because these guys are uncomfortable. Dude is Alex Jones right here, right now on his InfoWars show, is crying because it's too hard to deal with the consequences of his $1.5 billion defamation loss to the parents of murdered children who got executed in a classroom, and which he denied and joked about for 10 years. Says it's just too hard right now having to pay these guys what I owe them, even though I was given 5,000 off ramps to not be a huge piece of shit. And this is the result.
I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead. Who's the next person?
Yeah, I don't know what he says there. Maybe he's speaking in tongues. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but I really,
you know what?
The
issue I have with Alex Jones, and you and I, again, we've joked about this person here numerous times on the podcast over the last couple of years. But my issue with him is that he has created a template for the success of crazy shit online.
Yeah.
And whether or not anybody wants to cop to it, the fact that he made the kind of money he did with InfoWars is a result of people copying what he has done, because the only way to get any traction in the digital space is to be over the top, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't just be a normal human being. No one's going to react to that. So you do crazy shit like he does, and it gets a reaction, and people make money. And so there's a ton of people in the online space that have used his, because he was one of the first guys out there. They use his model.
Oh yeah. And
so so he's not only developed this culture online, that the companies behind these platforms have also supported that. I think we should be, you can be mad at Alex Jones and you can be angry and you can be up, sit and question why that guy has an InfoWars sticker on his Toyota Corolla in front of you at the store.
Well, it's because he's a fucking idiot, right? That's why.
But
Alex Jones is a fucking idiot. The things he says are idiotic. What he says is conspiracy laden, negative, talks about the end of the world, people coming for him. He's been doing it for 20 fucking years. He, like Joe Rogan, there are a lot of people out there that go, well, they're successful though. Yeah, they've been at it for 20 fucking years. They've been lying to people and repeating the same fucking bullshit lies for 20 fucking
but it worked.
Years.
It worked.
And it worked.
It made them money.
Yeah. Do you know how much money he made in the past 10 years?
I saw something like a couple of months back when
$1.8 billion he's made over the past 10 years. And you know how he's made it?
It's insane.
Selling fake supplements, fake brain food, fake testosterone, powder, effectively. It's just isolate. It doesn't do anything for you. Everything that he sells is part of this.
Probably got boner pills and
bukkake, fugazi,
testosterone boosters,
and he has sold. Him and Joe Rogan have sold so much shit.
But the Joe Rogan stuff works.
Highly ineffective. No, it doesn't.
As long as you can incorporate ice baths into your daily routine as well.
Yeah, the old cold plunge.
His supplement is going to boost the nutrients you need for your brain to work better.
I don't think it will. But he says it does. And they have sold, like Joe Rogan has sold billions of dollars worth of that shit as well, because they have captured the imagination, have spent 20 fucking years building mailing lists and driving this home and getting organized and feeding people information that is entirely untrue, much like Rebel News. To your point, providing the template for Rebel News, providing the template for Breitbart was Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is the Rush Limbaugh of the internet digital bullshit
But it's the Facebook space. And the Twitters and the guys behind it that created these algorithms that only respond to this negative bullshit in the world that we live in. And so guys are like, all right, if I'm going to make any money here, I got to say something outrageous. And then I got to release it out into the world. And that's going to actually generate enough followers, enough clicks, enough likes so that I can start to go to sponsors and I can make some money from this, or I can start selling supplements that don't work, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can be mad at these players because they're making all this money, but I think the bigger issue is, and this is why I struggle when we got a government that's going after these massive platforms that have, like, they're the biggest companies in the world now, these social media platforms. I struggle with it because I'm kind of the mindset, and always have been, that, you know what, listen, you should be allowed freedom of speech. You should be allowed to conduct your business the way you want it. But I don't know. On some level, somebody needs to step in and control some of this bullshit, right?
See, now here's the thing: is that I've been of the opinion my entire life, and never more so now, than your personal freedom being important, right? In as much as it doesn't upset the balance of the people around you and their personal freedom. So there's one thing. I've also been of the opinion that people should be allowed to make all their own terrible fucking decisions and live with all those terrible fucking consequences.
I'm in that boat too, right?
So there is something, like, as much as I know Alex Jones is a piece of human shit, as much as I know it, right? Totally. Same thing. And listen, Joe Rogan, I just think he's entertaining, and I think he's done a great job of building a fan base. Is he irresponsible? Do I disagree with him? Yeah, totally. And he's incredibly irresponsible. But they've been at this for so long. And they cater to a certain group of people that want to hear that stuff, that like to engage in conspiratorial conversations. Like
Joe's created a culture. He's created a bro culture.
People who are like, hey, yeah, I want to know those things. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. He believes the dumb shit, but that's his prerogative. He can believe the dumb shit. And he's entitled to all the consequences of all the dumb beliefs that he has, just like you are, just like I am. So in this big, beautiful world that we live in, and I believe this to be true, is people like Alex Jones that have grifted, people like Donald Trump who continue to do it, people like Don Jr. who sells coffee now on the side, or Giuliani who's selling his own coffee on the side.
Is it in the whole beans?
Yeah, it's in the whole beans. Yeah, he's got the whole bean. It's really good. The beans are green, he said. All of this stuff comes back to that. It comes back to money. And it always had to do with money. And how do you get money? And we talk about this all the time. From a group of people, you continually tell those people
what they
that
want.
I'm here fighting for you so you don't have to. That is all Alex Jones talks about. And he's got a straw man, and it's us versus them. They've literally created their own grift religion. Like, there are people out there that think that Alex Jones sells really good shit, that have never seen any medical or any kind of benefit, physical benefit, from anything that he's ever sold. If he's been right, he's been right about the conspiratorial stuff that sits in a universal knowledge, right? Like, oh, well, the government isn't always good. Yeah, well, we understand that as voting citizens, we get that. So then he tags into that
So,
common belief,
and you
then
know
he
what?
exploits the shit out of it. And he
Exactly.
tells them, listen, it's us versus them. It's us versus them. And people like us sit back and go, can he be that wrong because we don't trust the government either? Yeah, he can be that wrong. Nobody trusts the government, but Alex Jones takes it to the fucking moon. And then what he does is he tells you that the end of the world is coming, and the only way for you to fend it off is to be strong and to send him a bunch of money for a powder that'll make your wiener hard. And that is how he makes money. And that is what he does. And that is what Joe Rogan does. That's what all these people do. It is literally legitimately a interpersonal monetary cult. And these people are like, fucking sold. I don't even know what I'm putting in my body.
Well,
but Alex Jones is selling it, and he was right about the gay frogs. Because if there's enough information out there, everybody will go, yeah, he was right about the gay frogs. And then some poor half-wit will sit there and read that online and go, my God, like 30 people said Alex Jones was right about the gay frogs. Maybe I should buy that brain supplement. And this is how you build a cult and a bank account that lasts forever, dude. And they've done fucking marvelous. To your point, people should be allowed to do that.
People should be allowed to do it, but I again, where I have an issue is the strategies work because these platforms they're on also add fuel to the fire, right? If you go on and you tell a really nice story, and you're just a good guy, and then you release it and go, I got a podcast about it being a really good guy. I hope you guys all tune in. You're gonna get fucking buried. There's just no way. There's no hope for you. But if you go on Facebook or Twitter and you say all your dicks are gonna fall off if you drink the water, and you release that, it goes crazy. And that's the problem I have with the world that we live in right now.
Dude, it goes even further. If you tell that group of guys that their dicks are gonna fall off, they're gonna lose their money. You need to buy this powder from me so your dick doesn't fall off, because they're putting dick fall off juice in the water. And on top of it, the financial currency, the fiat currency that we live in is going to crash. So send me your money. I'll put it into Bitcoin.
Doesn't that drive you crazy though, Dean?
It drives me crazy, but I'm
in order to play the game.
But I'm smart enough to be able to listen to this and go, fuck it. I don't need to get involved in that. In order to play the game, you got to lie, dude. And dude, I think that is how this business works for a lot of people.
It bothers me. I think the reason why it bothers me is because I also have a skeptic's mind.
Yeah.
So quite often I will get dragged into these conversations. And then the next thing you know, you're sitting in a room with 3, 4, 5, 6 guys having a beer, and you're defending Alex Jones, who is one of the biggest pieces of shit on the planet, right? And you're defending him because there was an ounce of truth to something he said.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to be that guy because I do have a skeptic's sort of streak through me.
Yeah.
So this does, like a lot of this stuff does appeal to me. You know, he was right. There is an island.
No, there was Epstein Island. Totally was Epstein Island. But dude, that was public knowledge for a lot of people. Right? Like everybody knew that's a 20-year-old story. And he started banging away at that 20 years ago when the Broward County Herald decided to write an article about Jeffrey Epstein. So where did you think he got that information? But to your point, I mean, these people are constantly wrong. He is always wrong. The religion behind it that predicts that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States has been wrong the entire time. Like the Christian faith, there's this lady, if you want to see corrupted brains that hold this cult up, there's a Jesus lady who made a prediction, and she went viral. It was the day before the trial ended. Donald Trump, of course, convicted all 34 counts, first-degree falsification of business records, which means totally premeditated, stands to spend up to 187 years in prison. He'll do no time, of course, because, that's how we do things.
I think that's going to be, I wonder how people respond to that if he doesn't.
Breaking news will be heard that will rattle the.
Well, let me play this for you. Okay, this happens again and again and again in the MAGA/Maple MAGA space, where people will tell you what's going to happen. They keep telling you.
Her home is very tastefully decorated.
It's really nice. She's got a nice little painting behind her. This is a woman who calls herself Jesus's prophet. And
she's got a very natural childbirth head, like me.
Yeah, and her eyebrows are totally
That
real.
was not a C-section delivery.
This is the day before Trump. Was it a C-section delivery? She's got a very long fucking head. She's got vagina head. Yeah, you got vagina head too, dude. Yeah.
I came out natural.
I know you did.
Sometimes it's traumatic.
It is. Listen to her basically predict Donald Trump was going to be found not guilty and he was going to ascend to the presidency yet again, ladies and gentlemen.
Breaking news will be heard that will rattle the enemy's camp. Innocent. This ruling will be heard. The case has fallen apart. Their last-ditch effort did not work for President Trump. They cannot put him in jail now as the last indictment falls apart. Watch how things dramatically take place to stop your election and my David from taking back the seat of the president. But your enemies cannot stop the freight train coming against them because it's me, saith the Lord of hosts.
Amen, sister. I mean, I prefer my prophets being able to spit out a sentence. She obviously can't.
So who is she?
Just part of the cult, part of the MAGA cult.
Okay,
she calls herself God.
She does like daily broadcasts.
Yeah. Where she makes those predictions, but what she's doing is she's being a prophet. So what she's
when you're wrong,
she's trying to, dude, she was wrong.
Do you come back and correct it? Like how? Like,
well, the interesting part about this group of people, I don't know. The interesting part about this group of people is like they keep predicting this thing called the rapture too. All these MAGATs, like these evangelical people, the rapture, where they're like, okay, listen, tomorrow at noon, June 7th at noon, the skies will open up. You're going to hear a trumpet, and we're all going to be taken up into heaven. All of us. And all the dead Christians are going to come out of the ground like zombies, and they'll be taken up into heaven too, and they'll get brand new bodies. And they've been predicting the rapture since 1908, every 2 to 3 years. So for about 120 years, they've been predicting through Calvinist religious evangelical religions that the rapture is coming tomorrow. Sell all your shit. Give us all your money. That's what the church is saying. Give us all your money, and when the rapture comes, the money will be with the church, and then the church will give it all to the people. And so this is what people do on top of in the evangelical faith. They sell all their stuff every couple of years, certain devout Christians, and every couple of years they predict that they're all going to get sucked up into outer space, which is where Jesus lives. And it never happens. Never, ever, ever, ever happens. This woman keeps continually predicting it. It has never happened once. Just like she's a prophet, she's not. You can't predict the future.
Why do we want this?
None of that stuff. Well, I think because of what it comes with. First Amendment rights, super freedom. You get to shoot kids in school. That continues to happen. Drugs, alcohol, let's go. Lying, financial crime, still totally cool. It's because of all the other stuff that sits behind it. Like they're all corrupt assholes, every single one of them. So that's why they're doing this. And she's just part of that routine. She's like everybody else in this fucking cult, just part of the routine. And it makes me laugh every time I see someone that predicts it. Donald Trump Jr., real quick. He put out a statement today. I just wanted to play this for you because he doesn't appear to be coked out, which is interesting. Seen this before.
Obviously, just a sad day for America. Crazy what's going on in this country. Obviously, probably wasn't expecting anything different out of this jury with this biased judge whose daughter's profiteering from this stuff. My father's not allowed to talk about the people. Michael Cohen, who's lied to every congressional body, every banker, every press, his own wife, went to jail for lying, is a upstanding citizen who probably told the truth on this day. Well, the one time he told the truth, folks, it was this time. Absolute freaking insanity. But I'll say this, the Democrats have succeeded in their years-long quest to turn our country into an absolute crap hole. They've done that. They've been trying for a long time. There's literally no other way about it at this point. They've tried for a long time, and they're getting it. We are getting exactly what these people have voted for, and it's not going to work out well. If you think they can do it to Trump, they can do it to anyone, okay? I'm going to be going, I'm going to go up now to my studio. I'm going to get on Rumble for my.
That'll be exciting.
What's Rumble?
It's like YouTube for incels.
Oh, okay. That, you know what's interesting about that, because you and I, when we've played videos of him in the past, and he has been like clearly just tweaking. Yeah. The thing that shocks me is that because there is a machine behind Trump, right? There are people that are like probably tasked with trying to present some cohesive message. That's why that speech the other day blew me away. Like at some point, like they've got to be able to reel him in if he is going to, move anywhere to the center, because he's going to have to move to the center to win. Like you can't just win on your base, right? Especially him. I mean, as much as I'm not an expert on American politics, but I've learned enough about it over the last 10 years of following all this madness, 8, 9, 10 years. If he is going to have success, you got to think that the people behind the scenes that are responsible for the messaging are pulling him aside and at least attempting to say,
they can't. Please,
for the love of God, speak on a teleprompter today. Like, let me prepare a speech, Donald.
Yeah.
Like, this is an important time. Like, this is
don't
one of
say
the most
these things. Don't utter these words. No, dude, he is uncontrollable, and that's what everybody talked about. Even his former lawyers, like this dude named Ty Cobb, during this actual trial, his former lawyer during his first impeachment and second impeachment was like, yeah, I know what these guys are dealing with. The guy's fucking insane. Like, he does not listen to anybody. Everything is about resentment. Everything is about fuck you, fuck them, fuck, I'm the best, you're the worst. I shouldn't have to be part of the common fucking man. I shouldn't have to be subjected to the same rules. And you know what's fascinating?
I get
My
ego.
dad used to say this to me all the fucking time when I was a kid. All the time. I come home from school, and I'm like, I got another fight. He's like, who with this time? And I'm like, this guy, this guy, this guy. And I remember my dad, like, I'm in the 5th or 6th grade. I'm not a 77-year-old former president. I'm in the 5th or 6th grade. And my dad said to me, son, if you have a problem with one person, might be just him and you, and it's a mutual problem, you might not be to blame. If you have a problem with fucking everybody, chances are you're the problem. If you look at everything around Trump, to your point, these people around him, there have been 34 indictments. Everybody from his fucking campaign manager to Peter Navarro, everybody, 34 indictments. 34 people were guilty or pled guilty. Mike Flynn, Steve Bannon, they all got pardons because they paid for them. They're all criminals. Everybody around this man is a criminal. And he has done the things people are alleging he has done. And it is absolutely immovable in terms of proof that he is guilty 34 fucking times of a fucking indictable offense that goes back 20 years. He's been doing this for 50.
But
not
again,
20, 50.
At some point, I'm not questioning that. I'm just amazed at the fact that they still have not been able to convince him that when he steps in front of a mic, that's what maybe they did have some impact on his coked out son, because that is probably the most controlled thing I've ever, mind you, the only ones that go viral are the ones when he is coked out. So maybe I'm not seeing the ones where he's not, but at some point, that's every time I see them, I'm going, somebody from the Trump campaign must be on the phone with a buddy or his wife or girlfriend or just you can't put that video out, Don Jr. You can't. You look insane. You're hurting any chance this man has of winning the election again.
Well, that's the incredible part, that it's not hurting him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it
maybe
will
that's
in the long
what it
run.
is. Maybe that's what it is.
But that's the incredible part to me. Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. But you know what it speaks to? And it's the same thing with Canadians, right? With, I think, Pierre Poilievre. This is just my opinion. The guy can't pass a national security background test, won't sit for one. He's as compromised as it fucking comes, right? There is a segment of Canadian that thinks that that is good for this country. He's an asshole. He's always showing up to things half in the bag. He never tells the truth.
I don't have a
He
problem with
lies
that.
every fuck. No, dude, he does. He does not for a fucking fact. He is a
Couple of
rage
cocktails to
farming-
loosen you up a bit. What's wrong with that?
He's a rage farming maple maggot. It's exactly what he is.
Yeah, he's
And when
definitely
you
following
talk
the
to
Trump
people with a
playbook, eh?
brain, totally. You talk to someone with a brain, you're like, you do know that that's just a cheap imitation of what Donald Trump is. And they're like, yeah, totally. But I'm still going to vote for him. It's the same head scratcher as when I look at a poll in the United States and someone's like, he's got like 43, 44%. And Donald Trump is right there, 34 felonies. And you know what it speaks to? And this is, and I've really just arrived at this, is that we do not share similar values. And there is a group of people in society who legitimately want more than anything to convince you and convince me that their version of freedom is better for us than our version of freedom, that their values are better for us than our values. And it's all cooked up. None of it is real. Donald Trump is not a real person. He is a collection of grievances from some of the dumbest people and some of the most egregiously greedy people in the United States. That, I believe, is what a Pierre Poilievre supporter is. Someone who's just angry, pissed off, unhappy, victim. And you want to fucking radicalize
I think the success on that side of the political spectrum is definitely fueled by people being just angry, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's a little disconcerting that there's that many angry people out there. But you know what? Sign of the times. I'm listening to this memoir right now. I don't even know if I want to mention the guy's name because it's actually it's a really good read. And I'm not going to mention his name because I got a lot of respect for him and I still have a lot of respect for him. But his earlier days, he talks a lot about how he was constantly scheming to get ahead. And he looks back on his childhood and on his upbringing and highlights some things. And he's not doing it to make an excuse or show you, not blatantly anyway, but it does come across like this as I'm listening to the book, I should say. But it was funny because I just did not grow up like this. And so I'm wired a certain way. And I wonder if the rest of the world, the older I get, the rest of the world is just always looking for a way to take advantage. And this guy's an American and he's an actor. And I love this guy. I love him. He's the star in one of my favorite TV series of all time. But they used to go into the store with his mom when they were kids, and mom would steal. She would grab a bunch of grapes and she would put them there and she'd eat them while they were going through. And she would let the kids go to the bulk section and grab a candy. And if they saw a box of something open, like a box of cookies, mom would go grab one. And then he goes on and he highlights all these little, and he had a nickname for himself, which whatever, I won't say it, but it basically informed him from that point on, because he was always trying to find a way around things and doing like just sneaky little things, right?
Yeah, dude. I would say that
he was
it's transactional.
paper guy, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, from the time I was 5 years old, I had a wiring. I would never in my wildest dream ever gone out of my way to try to screw somebody out of anything. I've said some awful things and I've been selfish on a certain level, but when it comes to cheating anybody or taking advantage of a situation, like cheating on a test, I would never in a million years. Somebody would have said, I guarantee you an A. It's not going to cost you a thing. No one's going to find out. Here's the exam. I stole it from the teacher's desk. Take it home. I would never have looked at it. Not in a million years. Now, what percentage of our population would? And so
by the
that's
sounds of it, about 40%.
And
that's your answer.
And when he's talking, he's voicing his own memoir, and he's like, I just thought this was the smart thing to do. And I'm wondering what percentage of a percentage of the population is just wired in such a way that the rules are for everybody else.
Yeah.
And if you legitimately can find a creative way around, and it doesn't matter. We're talking about a man who has spent his entire life doing that, who like everything he says is complete bullshit. And people follow him and trust him and think he's some sort of savior to the United States of America. But I'm talking man to man, individually. Am I in the
minority? I think you're in the half-ority. I really believe that.
Right.
And
that makes
I think
me feel better.
Yeah, I think you're touching on something that is a very uncomfortable truth for a lot of people individually, and it should be an uncomfortable truth for a lot of us in terms of society, right? Is that you're literally seeing the delineation of good people and bad people. Good people know that lying, cheating, stealing is a net negative for them. Bad people think that lying, cheating, stealing is a net positive for them because they get that instant reward. So you're talking about people who are internally motivated, like you, to be a better person, or people who are externally motivated, like Donald Trump, Pierre Poilievre, anybody who wants something from you because they can't do it themselves. Those are two different societies that we literally look at right now. Some people call it woke, unwoke. But what you're looking at are people with values for everybody else and then values for themselves.
I got to be honest with you, Dean. I'm feeling like I'm a minority.
You might be.
And I'm feeling like maybe I need to change my thought process and step into that other.
Be a bad person. Step into the bad person mentality. But, dude, that's the fight. That's the fight that we see are people who are like, no, I should be allowed to cheat, steal, and rob and lie, right? If you look at politics as an industry, they call lying doing politics. They think it's part of their industry. That is a valueless industry. It is so is business, so is media. They are valueless industries. And you talk about the most successful people in business, they know one thing and one thing only. To get ahead, it is entirely acceptable to fuck other people over. It is entirely acceptable to step on poor people. It's entirely acceptable to negatively change the course of history if it means you're going to benefit from it. What do we see? We see people trying to change the course of history through different ideologies, lies, cheating, Bitcoin, fucking propaganda, misinformation, manipulation.
Just do the Bitcoin thing.
Yeah. Dude.
I'm sending this to Scott.
He knows what it is. Dude, there are people that live in that alternative reality of this weird valued place of MAGA and Maple MAGA who are literally fighting for one thing and one thing only. That's to not be subjected to the rules of society that make society better and make society work. They think their rules, their fascist agenda, their selfishness should be shared by all of us who are like, no. That's why none of those people got vaccinated, dude. They're like, no. My freedom is more important than the freedom of the collective. And therein is the entire issue. We've got super self-serving versus society self-serving. And the super self-serving individuals like Donald Trump, they don't give a fuck how they get your stuff as long as they get your shit. They're con men. They're transactional assholes. The world's full of them. And we've literally been separated into authentic people and con men. And there's definitely half of us don't share those values that you and I share, which is we are internally motivated to be good people, give back to the people around us, make our karma, our citizenry by giving back and having a purpose. Well, there's a certain group of people that does not believe that, and that is that culture. And it doesn't end. It's not going to stop today because Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felonies. They're going to go, no, and then they'll rally around him because he's their blunt instrument for that asshole culture, right? It gives them some kind of justification of their existence where they can be like, well, the president's an asshole. That means I'm allowed to be one too.
Well, and I think that the deeper part of this conversation moving forward about Trump is I'd love to be a fly on the wall with the people that are in the room with that judge right now, or that have that judge's ear.
Yeah.
Because that, I think, is going to say more about where we're at culturally. And you know what? I even hate to make it about everyone, but it kind of is. If you boil it down, that conversation and that mental process that judge is going through right now on whether or not to put that dick in jail, I think says way more about where we are right now as a society overall, at least maybe a representation of the West, than anything comparable. Because he has got to sit there and make a decision.
Can you imagine that stress?
I'd be drinking constantly. As much as I want to be the guy that says, yeah, like I was joking last week when we were talking, making predictions about that jury, and they were going to deliberate and how long was it going to take and what did you think they were going to do and la, 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 la.
Mhm.
And everyone, regardless of whether you think he's a piece of shit or whether you think he's, a martyr, everyone I think is surprised by what that jury did. But we were talking about it, and I basically said, hey, can we get this over this afternoon? I want to be that guy, but I'll tell you right now, what that judge is responsible for,
His sentencing,
is going to be one of the biggest decisions in at least political history ever.
Let me ask you a question. You're that judge, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Your
I'm
Judge
drunk.
Juan.
I know we're recording this early in the morning, but yes, I'm drunk.
You're Judge Juan Marchand, and you have everybody breathing down your neck because you got a guilty verdict, right? You do. You got a guilty verdict. You can do whatever you want. You can sentence that guy
indeed,
literally
everybody's
up to
calling him.
Oh yeah. Can you
Everyone's-
imagine his fucking phone right now? And
His
then the stress of
assistant
going, okay.
His assistant Sarah walked
If
in.
I send him to
Obama's on the
jail,
phone. Barack Obama. He wants to talk to you.
he wants you to put him in jail.
And
right
then when
now.
you're done with Barack, you're supposed to talk to Michelle. Like, I mean, everyone is calling him.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Oh, totally they are. But can you imagine the weighty decision of going, okay, I'm going to put this guy in jail. That means every single one of his asshole followers is going to be following around for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because they're already trying to figure out where he lives. They've already doxed him and his whole family. He's got like 24-hour protection around the clock, Judge Marchand and his family. Yeah, big time. So I couldn't imagine the stress that he's under right now. Fuck. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? Do I put him in jail? Do I not? I mean, I'm already pretty unpopular. And
I don't even have any prediction about what he's going to do. I have no idea.
And I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think the convictions and how surprised everybody was by all 34 of them has kind of thrown that into the atmosphere. It's like, fuck, it's anybody's guess. Nobody thought he'd get convicted of all of those charges. And he got convicted of all of them in the first degree. And it took like 5 minutes, right? So your guess is as good as mine. But this came down to election subversion, right? This wasn't him paying off a porn star for sex.
No. It came down to him
paying off a porn star so he could get into
misappropriation
the
of
position
funds.
Absolutely. So he took,
and whether or not the jury believed he actually had any part in it, and he, you know what? Listen, I think the testimony buried him. You can be mad about this if you're a Trump supporter, but I mean, his arrogance and how he handles everything buried him. This is, I think, largely and again, you know how much I believe in this. I truly believe in karma. I need to survive just based on my wiring, and this is his karma catching up with him. I mean, again, is it good for is it good for the United States of America? Bad for United States of America? Was it politically motivated? Anybody on either side of the left or the right, the Dems, the Republicans, whatever. This is all politics now. That's all it is. It is. Yeah. And that's not me saying it shouldn't have happened. That's not me saying I don't agree with the decision. It's so political. It's not even funny. And if you're trying to tell yourself it's not, he was a criminal and he deserves what he... No, it's bullshit. It's Trump. It's political. And like I said, that judge this morning had his coffee and crumpet and a conversation with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So it's political. They are now sitting down with that man, having a discussion about what he has done and where he's going to go with this and how he's going to handle the sentencing. It's his decision, and I'm sure everyone's saying that to him, but there's a lot of people in his ear right now that are going, all right, okay, the firestorm may not have been what we thought it was after this came down, but if you put him in jail, okay, this might happen, that might happen. So we need to have a real
trailer parks around America will riot if you put him in jail, dude. Don't do it. We like our trailer parks the way they are.
I still don't know if it will, but you know there's a conversation about that. And you know what? The fact that it didn't have a significant impact on the polls, that if anything, it might have actually helped him a little bit, I think even lends more to the conversation about how to move forward with these other indictments, right?
Well, dude, and we'll wrap a bow on it with that as we get into a podcast tomorrow, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But being found guilty of paying someone off, giving hush money so you can win an election, being found super fucking guilty of it as you're going into not one, not two, but 3 trials when it comes to seditious and treasonous activity that you have been charged with that are of the exact same vein, which is election interference in the United States of America.
Essentially, the next, that's what this is, right?
This guilt goes in this trial, that trial, that trial.
There's a through line,
as proof that he tried to steal the United States of America and came very fucking close and may do it again. So put that in your pipe and smoke it tonight. Vote, 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 vote. Apparently that's really important. And not for him, America. Or vote for him.
He won't be allowed to vote.
No, he's not allowed to vote. And
or travel to the Rockies this year.
He can't go to the ice fields in Jasper? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're going to have to pass on that Jasper trip. Trump. And you know what? Everyone in Canada is upset about it.
And you know what? Depending on who the prime minister is, like, let's say JT pulls it out here in Canada. Like, let's say he pulls it right out of the bag.
Wrap your head around that not happening.
Yeah, I know I am. If he pulls it out, can you imagine, just as like a petty little aside, where the government of Canada is like, yeah, turn him around at the border. Turn him around. He lands with Air Force One in Ottawa for a meeting. And they're like, yeah, he's not allowed in the country. You're going to have to turn him around. You're going to have to put him on a Delta flight, and you're going to send him directly back to D.C.
And check his luggage for illegal Sudafed.
Listen, thanks for doing this, dude. Really appreciate it. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter. You're going to be in Squamish all week. We'll be hit and miss. I know you've got some family stuff to attend to, but really appreciate you taking time to do this today.
I brought my gear with me, as you can tell, but I'm not sure exactly what my schedule is right now. I should probably check with my wife. Do me a favor quickly before I go. If you get a minute, make sure you check out ardenroofsystems.com. Sign up for the golf tournament. We want to fill it up and sell it out to raise as much money as we possibly can for the Child Life Program for the Stollery in Edmonton. And people have been signing up. It's a great day, July 5th at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. And again, there's still room for sponsorship. There's still room for golfers, singles, doubles, triples, maybe put a foursome together. Great cause, ardenroofsystems.com. Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Don't forget Arden Roof Systems for any eaves, trough, siding, anything you need in terms of roofing. They are the best in the beautiful province of Alberta. One of my, it's like my second province. It's like my adopted province. It's where I came from. And my friend Stacy Distel from Arden Roof Systems is a Owens Corning Platinum partner, the best at what he does, the most trusted at what he does with your eaves, roofs, siding, troughs. Doesn't matter what it is, give Stacy a call. Go to ardenroofsystems.com. Not only to sign up for that, but go get a quote. Even if you got another quote and you're like, I just want to make sure I need someone that's trusted. That's Stacy. It's him, Stacy Distel. ardenroofsystems.com. Thanks to our friends at everywhere for making this possible, including Cheese Boutique. Go to cheeseboutique.com today. Go to cheeseboutique.com, by the way. They've got a Father's Day box, Father's Day special. I just got mine on the weekend. They're going to be announcing it this week. Do something for dad. Get the Cheese Boutique Father's Day barbecue box. It's $300 worth of meat, other accoutrement for like $230. And if you follow them and you tag 3 of your friends in their Father's Day post, you could win a $900 Broil King barbecue from Cheese Boutique, Ripley Avenue, downtown Toronto. It's a whole block of fun. Make sure you visit them. They're the nicest people in the world. And Afram's the king. He's like a cheese meister. He's one of the very few in the world. So make sure you do that. Go to cheeseboutique.com today. Do something nice for Dad for Father's Day. Also brought to you by Rome Auto Subscription. If you're looking for a vehicle, go to Rome.auto. Rome.auto has your car. I'm driving a Tesla right now. You can do the same thing. It's one payment. There is no commitment. All you do is drive, and then you give it back. All your insurance, your maintenance is all included. And right now, Rome with Dean is your promo code. You can use Rome with Dean, and you can sign up for you get $150, $200 off your first month, which is incredible because they've got cars that you can drive away for like several $100s a month. All of your shit included in it too. They've got short-term, long-term. Go to Rome.auto in the GTA right now. They're going to expand in the next year, but if you're in the Greater Toronto area, Rome.auto. Again, Rome.auto. Get yourself a profile there. Rome with Dean is your promo code. You'll get a bunch of money off your first month, and it is very well worth it. There's no need to buy a car. There's no need to be out of pocket for a vehicle. Rome has figured it out. Rome.auto today. Rome with Dean is your promo code. Obviously brought to you by our friends at Muse Massage Spa and their podcast called Muse on the Mic. Patreon version is uncensored. Pay the girls a couple dollars. You'll get a completely uncensored look at the sex world and the world of sex work. They own a massage parlor in Toronto. Their podcast is provocative. It's entertaining. It's educational. It's therapeutic. Riley and Emily walk you through the business, and they do it unabashed. Super proud that we get this podcast in our network. Very proud to be working with these girls. Muse on the Mic is the name of the podcast, the Patreon version. You can get it uncensored. It's also on YouTube. Give them a follow anywhere on social media as well. Brought to you by our friends at Cantork, makers of rugged, hardworking torque wrenches for heavy industry around the world. Colin and his team have been at it for over 20 years. Colin Livingston, he's the principal. He's got a brand new website too called cantork.com. Check out their products, services, news about their podcasts as well. He makes torque wrenches for heavy industry around the world for really, really big work. Torque wrenches, what are they? Bolting and loosening and fastening solutions when you need to really amp it up and human power won't work. That's why they make the best torque wrenches in the world for heavy industry around the world, everywhere from China to Dubai to Fort McMurray. These guys are the best, and they've been at it for 20 years. Their expertise means they can fabricate any torque wrench for any solution that you have. Go to cantork.com for more information. And as always, brought to you by Fact Check. Go to faktchek.io for more details. If you would like to kill disinformation in its tracks, if you do not trust the shit that you see online, and if you don't believe the captions for videos and pictures, and if you want to just make sure and have a little handy little pocket buddy with you that you can add as an extension, join their beta test team today at factcheck.io, faktchek.io. If you want to figure out disinformation with our friends, scientists, journalists, psychologists, factcheck.io, they would love your help. Check out their beta program today. Sign up at faktchek.io if you want to believe. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget, everything we do is at Crier Media YouTube channel, Crier Media online. Crier.co is where you can find us, including this and many other podcasts like the Staff and Graph podcast. Drop it in with Mercedes Nickel. How about scouting the refs? Todd Lewis, dude, Stanley Cup playoffs. We got a final coming up. Oilers are at it. Dude, this is going to be a lot of fun. You got to go check out the Scouting the Refs podcast. All they do is talk about the refs from the game. Todd Lewis, who's like a legendary racing guy, legendary sportscaster in Canada. He walks you through it. It's one of the most unique podcasts in Canada. Scouting the Refs can be yours today, too. Go to crier.co for more details. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time with us today. We will see you probably tomorrow, depending on Lachlan's schedule. Yeah, probably tomorrow. Have a great day. Fuck Trump. Bye-bye.